Hi everyone, welcome back to Useful Genetics. This is the overview video for Module 11, our final module. And in many ways, it's my favorite module because now that you've learned so much genetics, you'll be able to understand a whole lot of amazing new discoveries that I'm going to tell you about. So we'll begin with an understanding of the origin of life. And then we'll talk about mitochondrial genomes. We mentioned these briefly in the context of tracing ancestry, but now we're going to think about the consequences of mutations in mitochondrial genes and about new reproductive technologies that allow women with these mutations to still have healthy children. We'll go on to talk about epigenetics and imprinting, ways that our environment can change our genes. And in some ways, these evolve as a result of an evolutionary tug-of-war between the interests of the two parents in their offspring. We'll talk about chimeras, both humans and mice, that are made up of genes from more than one individual. And we'll talk about new diagnostic techniques that are using the cell-free DNA that's circulating in our bloodstream. This has now been recommended as a better way to detect the presence of Down syndrome in the fetus, and it's also beginning to be used in cancer diagnosis. We'll talk about the genetics of aging. Unfortunately, the only thing genetics really has to say about aging is hit the gym, because exercise turns out to be your best way to minimize aging. And finally, we'll talk about new techniques for genome modification, and especially the very exciting new technique called CRISPR. A few words about the final exam. Once you've finished Module 11, you'll be ready to take this exam. There'll be 25 questions, very much like the ones you've already seen. Expect about 2.5 hours of work at this open book exam. You have 24 hours from when you begin the exam to when you have to submit it. But really, you should only need to spend about 2.5 hours on the exam. Coming up next is a lecture on the origin of life. This is, to me, a wonderful situation where molecular genetics and evolution have come together to resolve what for many, many years seemed to be a paradox so intractable that biologists didn't even try to solve it. And now we know how it happened. I hope to see you there.